I mean, I hate 90% of your collection. So
I hate your whole collection, Felix. Actually, half my watches aren't even set at the right time. I just put them on and
when it runs out of battery, he's like, it's dead. So just toss it to the trash.
I don't foresee us going back to 48 mil, but if you asked me back when we were at 48 mil, if I ever thought we would be swinging back to 36, I would say hell no.
Yeah. But I think that's just something to be said that most people my age or so are just kind of giving a little bit more of a damn about what's on the wrist, and also being way more specific and not just picking up a random watch from, Target.
I don't want to buy an entry-level watch that I don't have any interest in to get a watch that I do have interest in.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I don't have a Nautilus on my wrist because I'm not buying a Pilot.
Yeah.
I'm not buying a Patek Pot. I think that's an ugly-ass watch. All right, welcome to the channel. We're on episode 24 of Between the Lugs. And so Mike and Felix here.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And we're today going to be talking about watches and culture, why it's a great time to collect.
Yeah.
For pretty much anybody in any place and space that you're in your collection. If you're new or existing.
Young, old, anyone who wants to get into the hobby. It's a lot of good reasons to collect right now. So
absolutely. Do you want to do a wrist check?
Yeah, let's start with you.
Okay. I'm rocking the Breitling Norton. It's one of my favorite pieces. I think it's just well balanced, and I love the strap on it, kind of worn looking leather. It's just a fun watch.
That looks good.
It's one of Breitling's, I think, better watches that they've made.
I mean, you know how I feel about Breitling, and
I'm not a huge Breitling fan.
I'm not either, but that I don't think I've ever seen this on the wrist, but I have seen it at Beret, the Norton series. This looks really good.
It's a fun piece. What you rocking?
Today I'm my trusty old Tizzo PRX Paramedic 80. Love this watch. This is my daily, my beater, my go-to. It looks good with everything that I rock with it. I've honestly been thinking about getting a second one for how much I love this, the rose gold on the blue.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
If they release it in 36, I might buy it. They only have it in the 40 right now. But
I think 38 or 37.5 would be like
Yeah. That'd be perfect spot.
Yeah.
Because the 40 is good for some wrists, but it's definitely like a little flashier, a little flexier. And I don't want that with the rose gold. I kind of want it to be more defined. I'm interested to hear what this is a little bit of a side note. We talked about last episode with Jason, our time in Miami. We had a debate. The debate was we went to Cartier, and my favorite, the Santos, is there. And I said that the extra large, the large is the way to go for a stainless steel model. And the small or extra small or medium for the gold model or precious metal model that they have, rose gold, different types, or two-tone. What do you think?
Fun, because I just went to Cartier in Boston literally this week.
Perfect timing.
I was in there on Tuesday this week, and I tried on the medium and the large, and I've tried on the extra large before.
Yeah.
Dude, in the rose, the medium wore really, really well.
Really good, yeah.
Looking at it in the case, you're like, oh, maybe too small.
Yeah.
Dude, it wore perfect on the wrist.
I agree with you.
I think if I was going to go stainless, I would go up. I would size up.
Yeah.
Just like you look at a Royal Oak, and I don't want to get off topic too much, but you look at Royal Oak, and they get really chunky when they're solid gold. I mean, it's a big watch.
I don't know. It's something about the dimensions, not necessarily. It's just like the flashiness of it, you know? Like, brings your attention, like, bam, you got to watch.
It almost, like, limits what you can wear it with.
For sure.
Like, could you still wear it with shorts? I think Jason does. I mean, it looks good on Jason's wrist, honestly. And so I'm that way, and I also think, like, the tone of your skin also depends
a lot
on like, how a watch looks. I'm that way. Like, I wear rose more than I wear yellow because I'm kind of red toned.
Yeah.
But I think olive skin like you can rock gold all day long.
Yeah, yellow gold.
Great.
Yeah. Anyways, to start the actual episode, we got a lot to talk about. Right now, it's very hot to talk about watches and collecting watches and what's trending and what's popping. A lot of brands are releasing some really good stuff. We had released a couple episodes where we talked about younger people are trending more into like mechanical analog watches, maybe a Casio here and there. Less of the smartwatch phenomena. And I kind of want to dive deep into like why right now is the best time to start collecting. So the first thing we'll kind of talk about are what's happening in the culture, because a lot of people, celebrities have been notorious for wearing watches, but I think, and actually the interview that we did with Lex, we kind of talk about it a little bit. A lot of what influences culture is entertainment, right? Like entertainment, music.
Yeah.
And what's been popular is like really big, flashy watches, APs, bust-down Rolexes.
Richard Milles.
Richard Milles. But I think we're now seeing a lot of celebrities and also generically the culture move away from that, find their own taste and balance. I mean, you see like Timothée Chalamet is one of the biggest actors right now, and he's wearing the new tank, Guilloche, however you pronounce it.
Jay-Z's been rocking 36 mils and actually under for years now.
Yeah.
He started, I don't necessarily look at Jay-Z as like a fashion icon. I know he is influential there, but he's not like in a Louis Vuitton.
The guy, yeah.
But people follow that. They see what celebs wear, and then that's where a lot of trends come from.
Yeah.
It's not just from designers. And I take note when he's at basketball games, he's always rocking smaller Pateks, really beautiful vintage pieces. And I think, a lot of that he's kind of been ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think it's something to be said about the way cultures trend, but also the way that I think we're moving towards a good shift. Because whenever I got into watches is whenever people were more experimenting with the smaller, the vintage, and now we're kind of like full swing right now. And we'll talk about the market a little bit and what that looks like. Watch prices are very high. Inflation's talked about the tariffs that keep coming and going. But I think there's something to be said because people are still buying watches, and people are still buying microbrands. People are still, which are the ones that are affected the most. People are still getting into entry-level luxury brands like Tudor, like Omega, like Rolex. And I think that says a lot, and it speaks a lot to what you're saying too. We've lost the affinity of the 48 millimeter watch, the Submariner tank on your wrist. And now we're moving into like the 36s and below for a lot of males wearing it. So I wanted to ask a question. Why do you feel like now in 2025 that there is a regression towards smaller? There's a regression towards the daintiness, almost like way more affinity. Let's leave the hype pieces and go more for something that is tasteful for me.
Yeah, I think probably easy fashion goes in circles. Like anything. You look at home design, interior design in homes. Yeah. You see a lot of colors that used to be big in the 60s, and then like muted tones came in, and there's a lot of browns, and you see that stuff changing. Yeah. The same way those things are changing, you see back 20 years ago, I remember one of my first more expensive watches. I'm not call it a big boy watch, but I was in Alaska, and I went in Ben Bridge jewelry store, and I bought a 36 millimeter Gucci with diamonds.
You still have it?
Yeah, Hollis has it.
That's crazy.
I think he has both of them. I have a white dial and a black dial with diamonds.
That's crazy.
And diamonds on the markers. Yeah. And it was not small. It was like that's the normal male size watch. Then we went to the reverse spectrum, and Adam talked a little bit about this, about his Panerai collection that he had when he was an attorney, that those suckers are 45s, 47, 48 mil, and we went all the way to the big side. TW Steel came out with the big canister things, and like shit hung off your wrist this far. It like pushed into here. Yeah, disgusting. And it's like the bigger the better. And then I think people realized that like it's ridiculous how big. Yeah.
It's almost disgusting. Like
and then like they started tapering back. It was like then it was 42 or 44 or 42, and then you see houses following suit with what they see people collecting. Like, so they're not naive to the fact that everybody went ham on vintage, and most vintages are 36 and 36 to 37 mil. Yeah, 38 was considered jumbo. Yeah, so that's my thought, is that it's just a fashion swing. I don't see I don't foresee us going back to 48 mil, but if you asked me back when we were at 48 mil, if I ever thought we would be swinging back to 36, I would say hell no.
Yeah, that's true. And I completely agree with what you're saying. I think a lot of the trend right now is what is kind of what we said earlier. What's the culture saying? What is the fashion statement saying? And I think, and I like to speak for my generation, I guess I'm Gen Z. I see watches on a lot of young people all the time, but I'm also seeing specific types of watches. I'm not just seeing Casios. I see those every now and then, but I'm seeing like these really cool Microbrands that you would have never heard of. Vario, I think, which I do know of them because we've been in contact with them. But the guy who did my tattoo, I put my watch on the counter. Hey, do you mind if I do this? Whatever. I'm like nervous. I don't want to wear my watch while I'm doing it, just in case. And then I see after when I go pick up my watch, he has his watch right next to mine, and it's this Vario, which is like a Microbrand. Beautiful. It looks vintage.
The Smokey the Bear one.
Yeah, it looks vintage, but it's not. But it's like an orange dial. It has the Alpinist hands, the Seiko Alpinist hands. Beautiful watch, small watch too. I think it was like a 36, and I was like, "Oh, that's a cool watch, man." We just started geeking out about watches. Like,
oh, that's cool.
I would have never thought. But I mean, it makes sense. A lot of younger people like me are collecting, getting into watches, and we're getting into like the microbrands. We're getting into things that are like cool, different to wear, something you don't see on the wrist all the time. There's always a place for a good Seiko, but I think even like if you guys know Tony 2 Seiko on Instagram from Lexus team, his right hand man. That's all he collects is vintage Seikos, and he goes ham on those. And I think
have some dope ones too.
Yeah, they have some crazy finds out there, some rare pieces. But I think that's just something to be said that most people my age or so are just kind of giving a little bit more of a damn about what's on their wrist, and also being way more specific and not just picking up a random watch from Target. Yeah, it's like 46 millimeter fashion watch.
Yeah. I can appreciate that, and I like to see new collectors, younger folks, steering away from the Apple Watch and the tech watch, and I think it may have a direct correlation that they're saying that younger folks are getting away from phones that have, like, that's why they were talking about like flip phones, but actually having a place in the mobile space of being disconnected because we're so connected, we're over connected. And I think that's where the appreciation for mechanical watches is coming back into effect. Like, I don't want my text messages going to my watch.
Yeah, buzzing your wrist every time.
Yeah, I'm trying to get off social as much. Like, you just find yourself, the habit. It's just so I think that I have an Apple Watch. Don't roast me for saying that, but
he wears it on his ankle, so no one knows.
It's my Apple anklet.
Yeah.
Across my leg, I'm checking my time. My watches, actually, half my watches aren't even set to the right time. I just put them on, and I'm like, it can set there. It's just
when it runs out of battery, he's like, it's dead. So just toss it to the trash.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's cool to see folks caring about what they're rocking on their wrist, and then have an appreciation for the studio underdogs and the folks that are putting a lot of creativity to mold and shape that sector of watches.
I agree. And it's always cool to see a microbrand kind of make it too, especially in this environment or economy, I guess I would say.
That's why you'll see a lot of our stuff on your other channel, looking at and doing reviews and pictures of micros, because we have a great appreciation for what they put into it. Just the R&D is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'd looked at what does it cost to make your own watch, and it's not cheap.
Yeah, it's not cheap at all. So we talked a little bit about microbrands and what people are wearing. Specifically, I want to talk about the moves that also the big brands are following because they're noticing the trend, the changes. So obviously, big release year for a lot of watch companies: JLC, Rolex, Cartier. I mean, all crazy types of pieces that were named and released this year. But it's also interesting that a lot of those pieces that we've seen is part of the trend, right? Like let's downsize, which IWC. It's very hard to walk in there and find a below 40 millimeter watch, right?
In that store, everything was like 42.
I know, everything's legit 42 and up. The crowns are like massive.
Dude, they're way out here. I actually like their desert colored. It looks plastic. It's ceramic, I believe, piece. and had the option to try it on, I was just like,
just to try.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not. It's cool if y'all made it in a 38.5.
For sure.
I would try it on, but it's too much. I mean, it's too much.
And that's why I think it was interesting that they moved the engineer towards that 30. Is it 36 or 37?
They have a 40, and then
40,
they have a 35 mil.
Okay, you sure it's 35?
Is it 35 or 36?
I think it's 35 or 36. Yeah. Either way, they moved it smaller, right?
Yeah, it's 35.
Ones.
I want to say it's 35.
One of their most popular integrated bracelet lines, and it's a beautiful watch, by the way. I handled it in hand at IWC in Miami, and it is fantastic.
So I tried the teal dial on.
Yeah, that's
40.
I didn't try it, but we saw it up there. That's beautiful. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's sick. I'll show you a picture.
That was sick.
I may grab it. It's a pretty watch, and I think they did. Genta design. It's got a lot of Nautilus flair to it.
Yeah,
in tribute with that
beautiful.
bracelet.
It has a good history, icon, legacy. It's one of the watches. If I were to buy an IWC watch, which I don't think I will, but if I bought one, it'd be that.
I've never been interested in any of their pieces. Not that they don't make a good piece. I take that back. I like their Portuguese. I was a fan of that. Like that whole line forever, and then. With all things, taste changes.
Sure.
But I would look at IWC kind of like Tag Heuer. They've started sizing down on things.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can appreciate that we're bringing things under 40 mil. And yeah, man, I'll give them a shot.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said. Bigger brands downsizing, doing some funky stuff. Obviously, Cartier releasing the new Guilloche tank, kind of a legacy icon piece. Rolex releasing the Land Dweller, which is, homage, sort of tribute piece to their oyster quartz. And even, I made a video on this, Timex releasing a huge line of legacy pieces, like reissues.
And they've got a lot of higher end. They got $2,000 piece.
The designer, the creative director designed the Giorgio Galli S2, which, by the way, for $2,000,
it's a lot of watch.
It's a lot of watch.
It's got a Solita movement, right?
Swiss movement.
Movement. Okay.
Swiss movement and sapphire crystal, which a Timex you're never gonna find. Titanium all around, and it's not like the tacky looking titanium either, which I appreciated.
Pretty. Yeah,
it's a very good looking watch.
Who had it? Watch Studies or Bowl of Salmon? One of those guys.
One of those guys had it. That's how I've noticed it the first time, and then I made that video on it because I don't think that watch was getting enough traction. I mean, people are appreciating it, but not enough. And I'm like, dude, Timex has been knocking it out the park. Almost every single watch they've released, I'm like, dude, I want that. I want that.
They're coming out with some dope pieces.
They got some bangers lined up.
Yeah.
So check out that video if you haven't already. It'll be on the main channel, not on this channel. But again, I think there's something to be said. People are just, the brands are really coming out swinging this year. There's so many good watches, and availability is high. Kind of like what you were talking about, is you can find a watch that's very, I'm going to be careful when I say a hot watch, but like a watch that is a good watch for most people who are wanting to get into watches. Get it 20-30% on the secondary market.
Yeah. It's not that we're doing away with hype watches. I'm not a hype watch fan. Yeah. Just because if I do like the watch, selfishly, I want to get the thing.
Sure.
And then you got every asshole on the block trying to get it to sell it. Fine if you're doing that. I'm not literally calling you an asshole, but
just a little bit.
You're an asshole. No. Just because I didn't get it, you're an asshole. But I want to have sought after pieces and exclusivity in pieces. But I also don't want it to be a hype watch that is a Tudor Miami or whatever Flamingo, and it's 3 times the value
of the watch
of what the watch. That's ridiculous. Like in my opinion, it almost hurts the collection side of things for collectors that really do want it. It's not fair to those folks that are going to wear it.
Yeah.
To your point, a lot of brands are coming out with smaller sizes. You see the Breitland's line are at 38.5.
What's the new line called? Do you remember?
The Top Time.
Is that what it is?
I think it's Top Times.
Yeah, we saw it at Beret. It was on
the blue with the white.
Yeah. Top Time.
We may be wrong.
That's beautiful.
But I think they're Top Time.
That's beautiful.
That's a beautiful watch. I tried that one on.
Yeah. A great size.
I actually went in Breitland over Rolex.
Really?
Y'all would be proud of me, man. I shunned the shit out of him. I walked by and I just went like this. I looked in the door and the guy was looking. I went, Not today.
You know, we went into Rolex in Miami.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was like, not today,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah, we went into
because Jason tried on the Land Dweller.
The Land Dweller,
Yeah.
which is the reason I said, hey, maybe they have the Land Dweller. I think I see it on display.
It's one of the few in Florida, I think, that haven't.
Yeah, which we were surprised. Of course, it was display only, not for sale. But I think it's the only Rolex boutique that I've ever stepped in. Well, sorry, second. The first one I was kicked out immediately. Literally, like, hey, are you here to buy a watch? And I was like, no. And they're like, okay, well, you need to make an appointment. I was like, at the mall.
Yeah.
You know what?
There was a dude trying to flex an Air King with me in Boston. And if anybody from Boston watches this, the Rolex dealer on the watch row, bro opens the door and looks at me like I'm a piece of shit. And I had on a Gerard Perigo.
Nice. He didn't know that.
Yeah, he didn't know. I'm like, dude, this watch is like 3 times your value. Yeah. You know, and you're over here looking at me like I'm a piece of shit because I'm in shorts.
It's a
Sorry I didn't wear a fucking suit to spend my money with you.
Yeah.
Excuse my French.
On a Rolex.
We can beep that out. But, you know, I'm like, dude. And so now every time I'm in Boston, I refuse to go in there. Yeah. I don't give a shit if they would sell me a Land Dweller. I'm not going in there. Like, once somebody does that to me, I'm done.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I'll buy a Land Dweller for anybody else.
Just not
in another
not
AD. Boston, you're not selling me one, bro.
Mike has beef with the Boston Rolex AD.
No, dude's an asshole, man.
That's awesome.
Like,
we need to make a whole montage piece over there.
Yeah, like we should do it. Like we should film up there and me walk by just like I'm gonna walk by like 15 times, just going
flick them off.
Like Ed the Bassmaster.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably put you on a list or something and be like, please never talk to this
I get
guy.
on the opposite list, the wrong list.
Never sell to this guy.
Don't sell this asshole. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm not buying from you. So
and so that kind of goes to another point here too, is I know we talked about it earlier too, but I think a lot of collectors are leaving just the luxury space of watch collecting because I think that's what watches have been for not forever, but for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. Like when most people think I'm going to buy a watch, it's like I'm going to buy a retirement watch. I'm going to buy a watch that means something for success and not just because I'm enjoying watches.
Yep.
And I think we're losing which is good in a way. We're not just like, hey, I'm going to buy a watch in 5 years. I'm going to buy a Rolex in 5 years, and that's the only watch that I'll ever own. Yeah. And now we're like, oh, there's this Microbrand that's really interesting. There's this entry-level watch that I've never heard of that I've really wanted to get into.
Yep. Timex
has released this Giorgio Galli. Look how sick this is. And I think there's a lot to be said about the affinity. And like I said, like the younger crowd just kind of finding interest in microbrands, and also older collectors too. People who have been collecting for a while are finally like touching like new watches that are, even if it's in a different level, like the Rizepi and different microbrands that are way higher.
Bro just took one of the highest brands, the most exclusive brands out there.
Yeah, well, good luck finding one. But there's interest. There's interest from those higher collectors. They're tired of no offense, they're tired of their Pateks, or they're tired of their Rolex, they're tired of their AP. They just
some people I think are just tired of the game. Like at the end of the day, like I don't want to buy an entry level watch that I don't have any interest in to get a watch that I do have interest in. I'm sorry, I don't. Yeah. I don't have a Nautilus on my wrist because I'm not buying a Pilot.
Yeah,
I'm not buying a Patek Pilot. I think that's an ugly ass watch. I'm sorry if you have it. It's not for me. So my taste, and everything we say, obviously, guys. Sure. If you have the watch, no offense. If you like it, and we're all about that on the channel.
Filtered through self opinions.
Yeah, wear what you like. Yeah. Like I'm sure half my watches, a lot of people think are disgusting. So
yeah.
I'm good with it.
I mean, I hate 90% of your collection. So
I hate your whole collection, Felix.
Every single watch.
I'm like, how can I retaliate even worse? I'm like, every watch that you wear, even though at the beginning of the episode I said I liked you, just so I hate it.
Yeah, actually, I hate it secretly.
It's disgusting.
How did you know? You should have gotten the 36.
I'm gonna scratch it. I'm gonna try it on. I'm gonna rip it.
Can I see that real quick?
Yeah.
Bang it against the table. I think there's a lot to be said there too. It's like I'm finding, and I'm being careful too. I'm probably in the same boat as you. I'm not buying any watch right now. I'm kind of getting my fixes through a lot of the brands that are coming in here anyways. But the itch to buy a watch is definitely there, and it's also crazy because I think the options are so endless right now too. It just feels like there's so many good watches out.
It's hard, man. I'm on the struggle bus right now, so I'm like trying to decide between the IWC teal dial, and then I'm like, well, do I really want teal or do I want blue? I think teal is different from everything I have. I'm trying to force myself into buying watches that I don't have.
Yeah.
I want the Aquaterra terracotta.
Yeah.
I priced that, but like I want a Patek Calatrava, a very specific one. I'm after that. I'm on like this great hunt.
Yeah.
And I've keep like saying, could I find it for a little bit less?
Yeah.
You know, a little bit less.
When you find it, you're like, oh,
half of the gym is like the art of negotiation.
Oh, I
like,
agree,
can I get this shit for something that's way less?
That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Unless you just have like FU money and you're like, I don't care. I don't want to play the game.
Yeah.
But like part of the joy and excitement is the hunt of finding the
I got
right
this
watch,
for 40% off of retail.
Yeah.
It's in great condition. And,
exactly.
And then you get the weird ass anxiety that actually is exciting when they mail it off and you get it and you may get a shit bomb. That's scratched away. They're like, I said it was A rating, and you get it and you're like, bro, this is a fucking dog chewed this up. This is a bomb.
Whose kid did you give this to before shipping?
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this just goes to prove that, one, watch collecting is hot. The hobby's not going anywhere for a while, and it's not dying.
Yeah.
It's popping up everywhere. I think, like, kind of what you said earlier, people are tired of their screens. People are tired of the smartwatch. People are seeing watches more as a fashionable statement, but also, like, interest in a lot of different types of watches. And I think that's where we're going to stay for a while, probably for a long time.
I think the other piece, too, that may have turned a lot of folks off is that during COVID, everybody was a flipper.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden, there's all these new flippers. Everybody's like, oh, there's so much value in watches. I'm going to get on the list, and I'm going to make an easy 5K or 10K. And I'm excited that a lot of those people got held with their bag.
Yeah.
They got caught with holding their bag. And I think a lot of people are starting to enter now that a lot of that stuff is at bay. It's kind of like the true sales gray market, secondary people, people that have always, not flipped watches, but they buy and sell watches. Adam from Menta.
Yeah.
Very highly respected.
Vintage dealer.
There's S Song, right?
Yeah, S Song.
Yeah, S Song. Those kind of folks have a place in the game. Will always have a place in the game.
For sure.
And they provide value for you. They go source watches that you could not find on your own. And they have an eye for finding pristine pieces that you just aren't going to get.
Yeah. Like, it's going to be hard for you to find.
They've got connections. They got all that. So I think people are seeing that, and they're like, hey, I've loved this watch, but I didn't want to take a gamble on buying this thing that's a hunk of garbage that I have to overhaul, or it's got mismatched parts in it. You've got reliable people like those folks that you can buy from. And it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and it's like a mediation of your money. You're not too anxious anymore to spend the coin on a watch that is going to be expensive, especially on the secondary market because it's just hard to find. And then you have someone that you trust. You're like, oh, I know this guy. Basically, like they make content, or there's a very trusted dealer, and I know for a fact the watch that is on their website is the watch I'm going to get.
And they're not overinflated. That's the other thing. During COVID, a lot of folks wanted to collect. There was like this asinine amount of money that everybody kept pulling out of their rear ends and buying shit. I never got a piece of that pie, but
I wasn't into watches, so
I think there was like this immense amount of money, but there was so much overinflated product that flippers were like, hey, this Daytona, stainless steel Daytona is worth $35K or $40K. I saw people listing them at $50K.
Jeez.
I mean, the market's going to dictate what a watch is,
for sure.
But like they're coming down to reality.
Yeah, I agree.
This is closer to what that watch is actually worth.
And now it's like you pull the curtain away, on what actually is the value of the watch, but also who the fuck is actually going to buy that watch in the first place. Yeah. People are being way more particular and picky. They're not as scared anymore.
Yep.
And they're doing the research.
Exactly.
Because it's always crazy to me that a stainless steel model with a on the other side, a retail, that the gold version is going to be the same price just because someone's selling it as secondary for 2 times more than what the watch is actually worth.
Yeah.
That's insane. And that needs to stop.
Yeah.
That's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, y'all heard from Felix.
You heard it from me, okay?
Stop that shit.
Yeah, I'm coming for you. I'm going to leave nasty emails directly from my email and put it under Salmon Sucker. So you find it, and I'm coming for you. Lawsuit is ready.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Please check out our Patreon. We have a lot of cool stuff happening over there. In front of us, we have a layout of 5 watches. And guess what? All these watches are going to be given away to our top tier members. $10 is your first entry. For $25, you get 2 entry. You can win a watch. You're going to win back your money that you spent on us.
Probably way more than that, because some of these are expensive watches.
You have a degree of level where 500 plus to sub $2,000 watches here. So definitely check us out on Patreon. We appreciate you if you are over there so much, and let's get back into the video.